Back to Dog Q&A. It is Independence Day. Fun for people, not so much for dogs. So today, for Dog Q&A 58, we're going to talk about firework phobia in dogs. So I'm going to start by getting my little slideshow up here, and we will get started. So the first thing we want to do when we look at any kind of phobia in dogs, but particularly today, firework phobia, we want to look at what our dogs say to us when they're stressed. So we have to be able to read their language so we know how we can best help them. So a few of the main things you will see when a dog is experiencing anxiety are drooling, and they often have a closed, sort of tight mouth like that when they're drooling. In the bottom left, you see a dog who is pacing, and you can also see panting with the lips pulled far back and the ears back. So that's a dog, and you can see even the tails drop down. So that's a dog that's having some anxiety. And in the top center, you see a dog leaning against a person. That is a dog who is seeking reassurance from the person. So they're concerned, they're asking for help. And you can also see the panting and the ears back as well. And then on the right, you see a dog who has seemingly destroyed a chair. So sometimes our dogs will take out their anxiety on the furniture and release it that way. Another thing you might see are escape attempts. So when I worked at an animal shelter, when the 4th of July would hit, we would set up 50 extra kennels for the few days before when the fireworks started, because inevitably we would be inundated with dogs who escaped because of the noise. So this is a word of warning. If your dog has any firework anxiety, even if you let them out to potty, make sure they're on a leash, because any loud noise could send them trying to flee for their lives. And you can see this dog is going under a space that you wouldn't think he could fit under, but he's fitting his entire body through there. So even I wouldn't let my dogs out for a second, even in my own yard, if there was a firework phobia and it was around the 4th of July. So just keep that in mind. Just take them out on a leash to potty for a while until the big noises have stopped. And then, so once we learn what makes our dogs anxious, or what our dogs look like when they're anxious, we would like to ideally set them up to not be as anxious during the loud noises. So one thing you can do to prepare ahead of time is to desensitize your dog to the sounds that they're afraid of. So if it's fireworks, then get something like Victoria Stilwell's Canine Noise Phobia series. And this one is fireworks specifically. So it's just sounds of fireworks. And what you're going to do is, now you can't do it for this year, but you can prepare for next year, is start playing it at a low volume that your dog notices but does not react to. So they should alert to the sound, they should hear it and be aware of it and show that they're aware of it, but then not be stressed by it. So the way you can tell if your dog is overly stressed by the volume is ask them to sit and do a few commands and take treats. And if they can do all that, then they're probably okay. But read their entire body language, of course. And then over time, what you want to do is gradually increase the volume and keeping them at the point where they can handle it. So if they're still able to sit and take treats and look at you and do some few basic commands, then they're probably okay. And then hopefully you can get to the point where you can play it at the loudest volume and your dog doesn't react. So that's the goal. And you want to just go by, you don't want to rush through the process. You want to make sure your dog is calm the entire time, even as you increase the volume. If your dog becomes overly stressed, decrease the volume. It means you went a little too fast, so we need to slow down a bit. Okay, so that's something you can do to prepare for next year. But what do we do in the meantime? maybe we haven't done this now. So we have to do what we call management. So now we're going to help our dogs cope with the anxiety that is going to be stressful for them, or the noise that's going to be stressful for them. So if your dog is crate trained and the crate is positive for your dog, that's a great place to put your dog before the fireworks begin. Give them something to chew on, turn on a fan. I always recommend white noise for sound phobias. That can help drown it out a little bit. The middle dog there, the beagle's wearing a thunder shirt. That can help ease the anxiety a little bit. It acts like a swaddling type thing for a baby, and it kind of helps take the edge off. And then on the right, there's music called Through a Dog's Ear. It's music timed to the resting heartbeat of a dog. So it's supposed to help calm them down. And just keep in mind, one of these things on its own is not going to fix anything typically. However, if you combine all these things, it can help. And one thing I would recommend for things like Through a Dog's Ear or calming music like that is you don't want your dog to associate that with fireworks. So you don't want to turn it on only when the fireworks are happening. Turn it on when you leave for the day, and then your dog is used to it all the time. So it becomes a calming thing. Turn it on when you're at home so they don't start associating it with you leaving. And just have it on periodically throughout every day, and then they'll get more used to it. Going a step further, I want to mention this. You want to make sure and separate your anxious pet from all the other major activity of the house. So maybe you've got other dogs in the house who are not upset by the fireworks. Keep your stressed pet away from them, because that activity that they're participating in, whatever they're doing, could make your anxious dog's anxiety worse. If you've got a lot of kids and people and a lot of activity going on in the house, keeping your dog separate from that can help relieve a little more anxiety. So just something to keep in mind there. And then we have things like Nutraceuticals. So these are things like calming bites that are just chews that you can give your dog to take the edge off. And Young Living makes an essential oil blend called TOA, and it's in their Animal Sense line. That is something that also can help relax your dog. Nutraceuticals, that word means that these are things you can give that are not regulated by the FDA. So you want to do your own research on that. These are two things that I've used particularly. I trust Young Living because their oils are 100% pure. And their Animal Sense line is great because they're already diluted. So it's a blend of oils that are already from plants that are already known to be calming, like lavender and chamomile, things like that. So, and I've used the calming bites as well. And again, you want to combine these with everything else we've talked about and figure out what works best for your dog. If that's not enough, you can go to your vet and have them prescribe a pharmaceutical. These are not natural, of course, but they can help if your dog is injuring themselves or destroying the house or something like that, where it's really severe. I always say, pharmaceuticals can help take the edge off. So your dog is able to learn and you're able to work with the behavior and start desensitizing your dog in a way that they can handle. So it's a good measure for, I shouldn't speak to this part. So I'll just say, speak to your vet, see what your vet has to say about that. Okay, so this video we talked about firework phobia, but all of these things that we talked about can be applied to any sort of sound sensitivity that your dog might have. So maybe it's thunderstorms. You can do the same kind of things for that. And if you need specific help with your dog, you can visit my website, book a training appointment there, or contact me for more information. Okay, guys, hope this was helpful, and I will see you on the next video. All right, bye-bye.